Hi everyone, my name's Katie. I work at the Clark Museum, and today we're going to be checking out the Eureka Theater as part of this year's Humboldt History Symposium, which is all online this year, of course. If you're having a good time watching these programs and want to help support this event, you can of course donate through the donate button that's attached to this video or through our website, clarkmuseum.org/HHS. We greatly appreciate it. This will help us to do programs like this in the future and also other programs through the museum. So today we're at the Eureka Theater with Board Vice President Chuck Petty, checking out behind the scenes. So I'm going to turn it over to him in just a second, and he'll tell us a little bit about the history of the theater and show us some of the behind the scenes things that you don't usually see when you might come here for a movie. All right, so let me turn this camera around. All right.
All right.
Yeah,
okay.
Go ahead.
So now we're here in the upper lobby of the Historic Theater. It was designed by Richard B. David, who was a Hollywood set designer. And he wasn't a registered architect, but he worked with George Mann, the owner of the Redwood Theater chain. And George Mann liked his designs. So he had Richard B. David design this theater, the Fortuna Theater, and the Arcada Theater, all within 1 year of each other. So 38 for Arcada, 39 for Eureka, 40 for Fortuna.
Wow.
And all the plans had to go through an architect in San Francisco for final approval. But they were designed by a set designer who designed some very elaborate Art Deco sets for Hollywood movies.
All right.
And in this lobby, this is the upper lobby, which is what they called the loge at the time. So the loge was for the smoking seats, and actually more expensive seats because they were bigger seats. And Mr. Mann had a private plane, and he had a chain of theaters up and down the Redwood Highway, Ukiah, Willits, and Larkspur. And he also had signed agreements to run some of the local theater chains, like the Minor Theater, and there was a theater in Blue Lake, and a theater in the Hart Theater in Ferndale, and I think even the Wyndham Theater in Scotia at one time he ran. But when he came up here, this is the northernmost theater in his chain and the biggest, he stayed in this wonderful 2,000 square foot apartment that is over the lobby of the main theater. So why don't we walk into the apartment now and ring the bell, say, Mr. Mann, we're here to visit. And we'll walk in. And the first thing you see at the left is a wet bar for parties. So you see the shelves where all the bottles were arrayed. To the right are some sliding doors that open into the 20 by 30 foot living room. So you can serve cocktails to your guests. And I've heard lots of stories over the years that people that have worked here, he was very generous with his employees and had parties for his employees in the apartment. So
All right.
there are lots of good stories about George Mann. If you start talking to some of the people who work here when you're younger. But the apartment's in the middle of renovations after long-term tenants moved out. So it's a little in disarray, but within a few months, we hope to have this open as a vacation rental and let the public enjoy it. In the corner is a little curved seat that originally had a cocktail table. So when you got your cocktails from the bar, you could go sit over the cocktail table and partake. The theater living room of the apartment living room has an attached sunroom and 2-level deck that faces south. So it's a very nice southern exposure. And there's step ceilings and lots of Art Deco touches that echo what you find in the main theater itself. The dining room itself is oval with an oval skylight and even a curved door that follows the line of the curve in the wall.
Look at that.
Yeah, quite a feat, I'm sure, to build a curved door. So the theater has all the amenities. It has the dining room, it has a small kitchen. So I think Mr. Mann mostly ordered food to be delivered when he lived here, but you could cook here. There are 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. Like I said, it's 2,000 square feet. There's a bedroom, bathroom, bedroom, a master bedroom with attached private bath. All pretty original, being restored, but all from 1939. It's never really been updated,
Wow.
but it's in good enough shape you can still use it and still have the look of the Art Deco.
Very cool.
Yeah, and there are skylights all throughout to bring in more light.
Neato.
So,
Nice view of the skyline there.
yeah, one of the best views in Eureka from this area and from up on the roof above this, we can see the whole skyline of the city and see the fireworks the 4th of July and
All right.
see the mountains and everything. It's a great place. So now we can move on to the main theater auditorium. We go back past the wet bar.
I was thinking that's kind of funny that that's the first thing you come to when you walk into the apartment is bar.
The main entrance to the apartment is through that door. It actually goes down a staircase to the street.
Oh,
So there is
okay.
a separate entrance.
Okay.
This is just the adjoining entrance for into the theater. So pull that cord. There's separate bathrooms. Pink for the girls. Green for the boys for some reason, not blue. And here's the manager's office. I remember touring when I was a kid, and we came through here as elementary school students. And the manager had his desk here, and that little fixture on the wall was a light. He could communicate with the staff out in the main auditorium, and we'll go out in the auditorium, and you'll see in one of the big murals, there's a corresponding light that they would signal back and forth.
Oh, that's cool.
If he was out in the auditorium, someone would turn the switch and signal to him that he'd come up and see what was going on in the office. So,
Oh, that's cool. Old pictures of the.
yeah, there are lots of pictures of the theater from its glory days. For example, this outside light fixture, the outer lobby, had these metal features long gone, and we're currently having those replicated by Dan McCauley,
Oh, cool.
a wonderful metal artist. There's the auditorium in 1939.
Wow. Look at those paintings on the side.
Those murals on the side, those are the muses of the arts on the top above the proscenium arch. And the skyscrapers on the side, if you look at the original article in the Times Standard when the theater opened, it's called Dreaming of a Greater Modern Humboldt. So that was their projection of what Eureka and Humboldt County was going to look like.
All right.
It's kind of stuck. There's just a picture of a Pit and the Pendulum when it played here at the Eureka Theater
Oh my gosh.
with Vincent Price. And Clark Gable regards a movie called Adventure, which I've never seen. And there's the projection booth in 1939 with up-to-date RCA tube amplifiers,
Very fancy.
carbon arc lighthouses for the projectors to provide the brightest of light. There are other projectors.
Wow.
Peerless Magnarch
Look at those things.
and the Simplex E7 projectors, which we currently have the original E7 projectors that were out of the Arcade Theater that ran continuously from 1940 until 2000,
Wow.
with repairs, of course.
Yeah.
But they
That's
ran.
incredible.
Yeah, they are very reliable instruments. And the outer ticket booth, which we'll get to at a point, had what they call carved art glass. And over the years, it was all broken. We had one piece left. This is a piece from the outer doors,
Wow.
and that's the theme of the theater, are the stars, the shooting stars and bars. And the horse is just a nice Art Deco figure, but we had the carved art glass reproduced for the ticket booth, and now that we've enclosed the outer lobby, we can put it in, but it has the same,
Wow. That's
the
cool.
ring Saturn and the shooting stars.
Nice.
So that's one of the projects we're working on. Another one, if you go into the next room. The theater was triplex in 1978. And to accomplish that, they took down two of the middle chandeliers and put up wall for 2 additional screens. So we're working on restoring the 2 original chandeliers that were stored in the basement.
All right.
So that's one of our projects, because the theater was restored to a single screen theater when Robin and Sherry Arkley bought this theater in the early 2000s. And we're going to turn it into the Arkley Performing Arts Center. But since this theater never had never was for live productions, they didn't have any dressing rooms, they didn't have any backstage, they didn't have any flyloft for scenery to go up and down. So they quickly changed their plans when the State Theater building became available. They funded the mortgage, paid it off, and gave this theater to the nonprofit that was established,
Wow.
called the Eureka Concert and Film Center. So
All right.
we have the Arkleys to thank. The theater still stands. Now we'll go up the ramp to the balcony.
I always forget how big the theater is. Geez.
Originally, the theater was the biggest between San Francisco and Portland. We had 1,700 seats.
Wow.
There are 400 seats in the balcony. All these red seats you see are from downstairs. They were the seats that were taken out when the stage was extended for live productions. Unfortunately, when the Arkleys first got it, their contractor threw away all the seats that were up here.
Oh, no.
But when the Woodland Theater, who was built by the same architect, was going through renovations, they gave us all of their seats. So the theme of this theater, red, white, and blue. So the downstairs seats were red, the upstairs seats were blue.
Oh.
And all these chandeliers, these 4 that still exist hanging, had 2 more between them that were the same. They have 3 lighting circuits. So you have white lights, red lights, and blue lights.
Oh.
So you could turn them all on simultaneously or any one of the circuits. And then you can see the muses over the proscenium arch that we saw in the picture earlier and the murals. Right above the horse's nose is that light we talked about that signaled the manager to come up to the office if he was in the auditorium during a movie. And the screen is brand new, about 5 years ago. It was widened in 1953 for CinemaScope. Originally, where you see the purple on the sides of the screen were 2 columns that were done in the bronze leaf, like you see around the theater. And we intend to restore those too, because we don't need that extra width anymore. So that's one of our restoration projects.
Wow.
All of the damaged walls you see are acoustical plaster. They were in 1978, they were covered with drapery. And that's all been removed in hopes of restoring it to its original look. The amazing thing about this theater, even after it's been triplexed and untriplexed, it's pretty intact. They didn't really remove anything. There's some damage, but it's in pretty good shape.
Yeah.
It's a cast reinforced concrete building. It doesn't need to be seismically retrofitted. It's structurally sound. Now we'll go to the projection booth.
Ooh, that's cool. Here's another look at the theater. Wow.
We just had the chandeliers down. If you look on the Facebook page for the theater, you'll see a video of them being cranked down. There's a big chandelier hoist in the attic, and they're on cables and they lower all the way to the floor.
All right. Makes it easy to replace the light bulbs.
Yeah. So in the projection booth, we of course have the toilet and the sink for projectionists because they couldn't leave during movie, because the movies originally came on 20-minute reels. That's why you have 2 projectors in most vintage theaters. So one projector would be running the first reel of the movie. You'd have the second reel loaded up on the other projector. And you'd be standing in the window, and as you saw on the screen in the upper right corner of the film, towards the end of the first reel, there's a little cutout or mark, they call it cigarette burn or something. That indicates you have 8 seconds to do the changeover between reels.
Whoa.
So if you're standing here at the window as a projectionist, when you see that first mark on the screen, you start the second projector. When you see the second mark on the screen, you hit the buttons that change over, it's called a changeover. It closes the shutter on the one projector, opens the shutter on the second projector, and opens the light source and changes over the sound. So everything, if you're a good projectionist, you can do it so quickly The audience will never notice that there was any interruption at all.
Wow.
The pedestals for the projectors are the originals from 1939. They've been here for 81 years. The projectors that we had here in place were the 1951 projectors. We still have them, but we were able to obtain these brand new projectors from a screening room in Hollywood where they've had very little use. So we have like brand new projectors.
Wow.
The light sources are called Brenkert and carbon arc lamp houses. They have two copper rods, one positive, one negative, and a reflector in the back. So this is like a welding rod, and that provides a blinding white light that's reflected off that reflector and through the projector onto the screen.
Wow.
That's how movies were projected from the early days up until 70s or 80s when they went to xenon bulb. And we still use them. We bought a nice digital projector 6-7 years ago. So this is the big barcode digital projector, which is the format almost all movies come on these days. And then there's always an accompanying sound rack with a booth monitor so you can hear in the booth what's going on the screen, a cinema processor to decode the movies, amplifiers to send the sound to the center, right, left, and surround channels, and then a CD player if you want to play some music during the intermission. And then, of course, we have lots of movies and lots of old projector parts to keep the place going.
Oh, yeah. Very cool.
That area that you're in right now is originally the film storage room. There was a wall here because the early films were all nitrate-based film and they're very flammable.
Oh, yeah.
So when you're not projecting them, they had to be stored in a separate room that was fireproof.
Oh, okay.
And then there was a separate room at this end of the projection booth that housed a motor generator that took in three-phase power from the street, converted it into direct current at 80 amps to feed the power to the carbon arc projectors.
Okay.
It's sitting on the roof right now, but it's coming back in. Let's actually pop out there for a second.
Okay.
Oh, we have to stop along the way at the dumbwaiter because those films in 20-minute reels, you know, if you're doing a 2-hour movie, that's 6 reels. So they were set up and down in a dumbwaiter.
Oh my gosh.
So you wouldn't have to carry them up and downstairs.
All right.
So here is the view from the theater of lovely downtown Eureka.
Yeah, this would be a great spot for the
This
fireworks.
is where we usually
Yeah.
You can see the back of the Eureka Theater sign. We call it the monument. It's just a hollow Hollywood facade. It's open to the air, and it's in fairly bad shape right now. We're trying to raise money to fix that along with other structural projects. Restore the neon to the Eureka sign
Yeah.
and get the roof redone.
Okay.
So,
Yeah. All right.
the last piece of equipment in the projection booth, the last two, is a 16mm projector with a carbon arc lamp house. We're running the 16mm format. And a carbon arc spotlight. We're shining a bright spot onto whoever's on the stage. So rotate up and down any angle you want. Project out the window.
Is that like an original one from here, or is it just?
This was originally in Eureka High School.
Oh, okay.
It was via session from Eureka High School.
Oh, okay.
We had a similar one.
Okay. Very cool.
balcony has to have a safe escape route, so we have our lovely drop-down staircase with the counterbalanced weight. So we are currently raising money to restore that so we can reopen the balcony. It's suffered some rust damage. It works, but it's a little clunky. So.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I was wondering. I figured it might have been the seats that was why the upper balcony was kind of opened, but
mostly fire.
Yeah. Okay.
This little room to the left, which mirrors the office on the other side, was originally called the Usher's Changing Room. Now, I remember when I was a kid that came here, you actually had ushers that took you to your seat.
Wow.
And they would come around during a production and tell you to get your feet off the back of the next chair. Tap you with their flashlight. We have a portable bar up here for events. We plan on building a permanent bar. That's one of our goals.
This building's got some great carpet.
This carpet was designed in 1978 when the theater was triplexed. It took the theme from the murals on either side of the stage.
Oh, okay.
The horse and the skyscrapers. The kegerator for the beer is surrounded by a bar enclosure designed by Wallace and Hines, but donated by the Eureka High School class of 1956.
Oh, cool.
Originally, this side of the lobby was just open. There was nothing here except the phone booth and a water fountain. That's right. And on this side, where there is a new Wallace and Hines bar, there was a small snack bar. The last one that was here was from the 70s, and it was just falling apart particle board. So we commissioned Wallace and Hines to build this Art Deco bar that is in keeping with the theme of the theater.
Very pretty.
Although it's not an exact replica of the theater. So,
hello.
The lobby's been mostly restored, and we replicated the color scheme and re-stenciled the mural and refinished the mahogany. We got all sorts of artists helping us. It's a labor of love, and we're continuing to restore. We're going to restore the two ancillary rooms to the side with the original color scheme, which were chartreuse on this side, and was it vermilion, I think, on that side? With Venetian red, which is kind of vermilion, but it had a silver leaf ceiling.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. The mirrors are original. The chandeliers are above the bar or not, but the wall sconces are all original from 1939.
Okay. Very cool.
And we can move into the auditorium. The theater triplex, they built this additional room for the downstairs projector. We no longer need it, but it is convenient for some of our stuff. But yeah, there was another projector down here when it was triplexed in 1978. Currently, there are about 800 seats downstairs since the stage was projected out into the former auditorium where we had more seats. But originally, there were 1,200 seats.
Wow.
So this is the place. Everybody gets excited about the Eureka Theater, comes on down to events and helps us with our restoration projects.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I've been down here for a Rocky Horror Picture Show screening last year, and that was a lot of fun.
That was a very big success.
Yeah.
We have a pretty good sound system and pretty good lighting, and like I said, a new movie screen. We're working on getting the waterfall curtain restored from the 50s. It comes down in front of the screen and provides a nice effect when,
cool.
when the screen first lights up when the movie projects on it. So, stage lighting.
Very cool. Yeah, and when you guys do movie screenings, I know sometimes they're like sponsored, so
we try
people
to get
can.
sponsors for all movies because it's currently about $400 to rent a movie. So we have a upfront cost to incur. So we need to defray that so we can actually make money on the movie. Because it depends on attendance. So
Yeah.
we make money off the bar. We make money off the admission, but we try to get a sponsor for the movie cost itself.
Okay. Very cool.
And if anybody wants to sponsor a movie, we're open to ideas about what you want to sponsor too. So we have a set schedule, but we can add movies too.
Okay.
Once the pandemic's lets up a little bit.
Okay. Yeah. Awesome.
That's a general overview.
Very cool. What a great theater.
It's a fun thing. It's a fun project. It's a fun toy shop and place to play.
Yeah. And how many volunteers do you guys have
We have
working on
a
things?
whole list of, in fact, you want to go to the website, eurecatheater.org. There's a place to sign up to be a volunteer. But we have several dozen volunteers that help us on a regular basis, and some others that help occasionally.
Mhm.
Help us man events. If they have special talents, they can help paint or fix the seats or whatever. So
Yeah.
we have a good crew that's very reliable.
Cool.
Very dedicated to seeing this place keep going and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. It's going to be incredible when it's all fixed up.
It's all going back to the original color scheme and the original look from 1939.
Yeah. Very neat. All right. Well, thanks for showing us around. And thank you everyone for joining us today on this awesome behind the scenes tour of the Eureka Theater. We hope to see you at some of the other events that we'll be doing as part of the symposium this week. If you want to check out the schedule, that's available on clarkmuseum.org/HHS. And we hope you had a good time, learned something new, and we'll see you around.
Ta-da.